Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today we are going to be doing our top 10 anime rivalries. Alright, let's start things off at number 10, Sakura Haruno and Ino Yamanaka. Now, this one's an interesting one. They start out as friends. Sakura's just so shy and quiet and has no confidence whatsoever, whereas Ino's the popular girl that everybody likes. So, you think that it'd be really good friends. In fact, Ino actually builds Sakura up and gives her confidence. Then Sakura finds out that Ino also likes Sasuke, so Sakura calls the friendship off and declares them rivals, which you can tell Ino feels a little betrayed by, because she knew for a while that Sakura liked Sasuke, and she didn't do anything about it. She still wanted to be friends. She wasn't going to let it ruin their friendship. So, she must have felt a little betrayed by that. And you see a little bit more happen in the tuning exams. In the Forest of Death, comes to rescue Sakura. Then they fight each other in the preliminaries. And you really learn a lot about these two, Kunoichi. So, yeah. I guess that's all I had to say on those two. So let's move on to number 9. Roronoa Zoro and Sanji from One Piece. Now, these two guys, it's hard to say exactly why they don't like each other, but they don't. These two guys are just always at each other's throats, somewhat literally at times. I mean, I can see some differences, like Sanji's always after the ladies, and Zoro's just always so calm and quiet and cool and collective. So I can see a little bit of difference in personalities, but I think it's more of they're too similar that gets them. They're both so stubborn and so hard-headed that they just can't get over the little differences between each other. They both have to be right. So I think that's the reason why they're always at each other's throats. I mean, if it wasn't for Luffy, there's no way these two guys would ever be on the same crew. The fact that really Luffy's the glue holding them together, and which really goes to show his leadership abilities, which is kind of hard to believe a guy like him could have it, but he really does. Anyways, let's move on to number 8 with Ichigo and Uryu from Bleach. Now, these two guys are an interesting one. Ichigo never at any point sees Uryu as a rival. Never. He always sees him as a friend. Well, initially he doesn't know what to think about him, but once they get to know each other, it's always as a friend. They team up countless times. Over and over again they're teaming up. But every single time it gets down to the same thing. Right when you think that Uryu's, going to be loyal and care about him and all that stuff, which he does, but there's still a big part of him that is always, you're a Soul Reaper, therefore you're my enemy, because Ichigo is a Soul Reaper, or substitute Soul Reaper, whereas Uryu is a Quincy. So he's got a lot of pride in that, and he just won't let the rivalry die. And I think it picks up really heavy from what I've heard, and once it gets on. But I'm not going to go too much into that. Anyways, let's move on to number 7. From Pokemon, we have Ash Ketchum and Gary Oak. I haven't seen this anime in a long time, but I do remember that was a central element. Ash always trying to beat Gary, and Gary always getting the better of him. Gary was always better than Ash. Never had a chance. Gary was just so cocky about it. It just ticked Ash off. I think Ash does finally beat Gary towards the end of the first or second season. It's been so long since I've watched it. But definitely an intense rivalry. Anyways, like I say, it's been a while, so I don't have much more to say on that. Let's move on to number 6. Kakashi Hatake and Might Guy from Naruto. Now, these two are an interesting one. You learn a lot about their rivalry early on. Really in the tuning exam, when you see when you see Sasuke fight Rock Lee, just after that fight, you start to learn about the rivalry between those two and just how deep it goes. You learn how deep it goes later, because these two were just close on a lot of stuff. Guy beats Kakashi about as often as Kakashi beats Guy. Where they're at in Naruto, Guy apparently had the lead. Although you find out later he won that lead at a game of rock, paper, scissors, but still, some of those contests were more interesting than that. Anyways, it's just a really intense rivalry. They've been going on forever. You know, Kakashi, the gifted genius, always so cool and confident guy. He's kind of a weird guy, uh, kind of goofy, really hardworking and dedicated, really strong. You just, it's a good rivalry. They're just different in a lot of ways, but they really complement each other well. So, yeah. Anyways, next up we have number 5, again from Naruto, and Naruto Shippuden more so, uh, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, the third Hokage, and Danzo, the leader of Root. Um, yeah, so basically, you don't really see a whole lot on this one. It's kind of behind the scenes for the most part, but if you really start to dig into the show, you realize that the rivalry between these two is actually a very central element to the entire show. They have very different views on how the Leaf Village should be run. Sarutobi is, you know, things of peace and trying to do things the right way, whereas Danzo is very skeptical of things and he considers Sarutobi weak. And you actually learn later that they were actually, you know, they actually were friends before he became the third Hokage, and you learn just how far back it goes, and that they have been rivals for a very long time. Anyways, it's not too much more on that, but really it deserves its number 5 spot because it's very central to the show. Um, it's kind of in the background, but pretty much everything that's going on, all the main things are caused by that rivalry. Anyways, number 4, from Dragon Ball Z, Goku and Vegeta. Yeah, a couple of Saiyan warriors, although Goku doesn't really consider himself one, and he never really considers Vegeta a rival. Something kind of similar, a common theme I got going on. Well, it's just kind of common between a lot of these rivalries. But yeah, Vegeta always sees Goku as a rival, just because you know Goku beats Vegeta. It was a tough one initially. He had to resort to a lot of cheap tricks, and he actually lost that fight. It was all he managed to do was weaken Vegeta, and then everyone else managed to take him down. You know, Gohan jumped in, turning all ape, and and then everyone else jumping in after that. Till eventually everyone was pretty well wiped out, but Krillin had just enough strength to hobble over with a sword, whereas Vegeta was barely able to crawl on his belly. So, they had the upper hand. But really, Goku didn't win that fight, but he, beat Frieza, which was really when he showed Vegeta up, not so much in their own fight. Although Vegeta still counted that as a loss on his own, even though he really did beat Goku there. Anyway, but you see that just throughout the show, Goku and Vegeta just always hashing it out. I mean, when the androids are coming, just before the android saga, where you're learning about, no, not the androids, it was with Boo, that was when it was, when they were trying to revive Boo, you really start to see that rivalry rehashed. It gets really intense, because it's kind of building under the surface through all of the android saga. Anyways, let's move on. Number 3 from Naruto, Naruto and Sasuke. Now, I love these two as a rivalry. I mean, these two are just always at each other's throats. Naruto is just pathetic initially, but he grows so much, whereas Sasuke's originally pretty good, and he starts off growing rather slowly, but then starts picking up the pace a lot once he realizes just how fast Naruto's growing. You see it build up a lot in Naruto, and even more so in Shippuden. It's kind of in the background, but Naruto's always has that in his mind. He's got to get Sasuke back, and in order to do that, he's got to be better than Sasuke, because Sasuke doesn't want to come back. He's got to force him back, so he has to be better than him in order to do it. So it's just a really intense rivalry between these two, and it really pushes both of them to get stronger, and holy crap do they get stronger. I mean, to become some of the most powerful shinobi in the world by the end, or at least where I'm at. Anyways, let's move on. Number 2. This one, a lot of people probably are going to be surprised by. From Scried, we have Kazuma and Ryuho. I know a lot of people don't know this anime, and it's just... I love Scried. It's an awesome anime. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I really loved it. And it was the rivalry between Kazuma and Ryuho that really made it good. These two are just always at each other's throats. Kazuma's just trying to be better than Ryuho initially, because Ryuho just kicked his ass initially. So he's just trying to be better than him. And eventually they team up and start working together, but then the rivalry still kicks off in the end, and they fight at the last episode. And it looked like Kazuma actually pulled off ahead. It was insanely close, but it looked like Kazuma actually won. Anyways, let's move on to number 1. Yeah. Number 1, we have from Death Note. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say now. Light Yagami and El Laureate. Now, really it has to be number 1 because it's the whole show. It's one of the greatest animes ever, and that rivalry is the show. I mean, without that rivalry, it just doesn't exist. It's just Light trying to figure out who L is so he can write his name down and kill him. That's all he's got to do is figure out who he is. Just all he needs is his name and his face. And he's just trying to get that, and it's insanely hard. It's like a big game of chess. Whereas, L is trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Light is Kira. He is the one killing these people. He's not completely set that it's Light, but he's pretty sure on it, because, I mean, when Light, convinces him that he's not it really upsets L. He uses some false information to prove his innocence, and that really upsets L because he was so dead set and fixated on Light. And it's just such an intense rivalry. It just really draws you in and makes you want to keep coming back for more. And the show really wasn't as good once L died and the rivalry was gone. So that's really all I have to say on that. Let me know what you think. Do you think that anybody on my list doesn't deserve it? Do you think the spots are wrong? You think, I don't know, you think other people need to be on the list? Let me know. Give me your own list, or just really anything on what you think about the list. Also, any ideas for any future lists? I'm trying to do one of these every month, and getting more and more difficult to come up with ideas. I'm sure I can do it, but could definitely use some input from you guys. So anyways, let me know in the comments. Besides that, like my video if you liked it, enjoyed it. So please put a little like on that, hit the button, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome videos. I'm going to be doing one of these every month, plus a ton of other stuff. So anyways, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you.